to a loop. I have a watch that I didn't update, so my phone is updated, but it's in Eastern time, and then I have a specific watch for Pacific time, and it's showing it's 3 p.m. Got taken by the watch.
I was talking to family on the other side of the world, and I was like, wait, did we just talk for so long that I didn't notice? And no, it was just daylight savings, and I was completely unaware that that was happening. Um, cool beans. As we wait for anyone else to join, let's jump into some learnings. What did y'all all learn this time around comparative to last time?
And technically, we learned like new concepts about the swagger because both Redo and me have no clue of what it is. So basically, we shared some videos and tutorials, and together, like, okay, let's do it. Mm, non-technically, I feel mm, maybe because my English accent. So I feel like next time maybe it's better to list things out than you click and check it out. That will make us more smoother.
I think we did great. Our communication was great. Even if there was things we didn't understand, we were able to like write it out, you know? So I don't think that was a concern too. Like, yeah. Um, but yeah, just like learning new things, but also we were both working on the back end. So making sure like in the beginning, I think it took us a lot of time trying to figure out like who's gonna work on what. And then there was some confusions like, wait, like I'm doing this or you're doing that. Like, let's write it down, you know? So that was fun.
I've thrown the question into the chat as well. Just for our ears, what did you learn during this hackathon about collaboration compared to your last hackathon?
So for me, I got acclimated to my team. It's very differently when you're casually talking to folks, but to actually work with folks, it was just a great experience to get to work with different people because I don't think I've gotten a chance to like really work with Paige. But I thought that we collaborated and communicated very efficiently. I was a little bit worried because when you're on a team, you never really know like maybe one person's not going to do too much or another person's going to do too much. But it was a really awesome balance between doing and communicating and sharing knowledge as well. So yeah, that was that for us, for me, from my perspective.
Yeah, I would like to add on Dari. Yeah, because we three are in different time zones. We're in three different time zones, but I don't know, probably we're in the same time zone. We just like kind of wake up at the same time and log off at the same time. Um, yeah, me and Dari and I were in the same team for last hackathon. This time like Paige is kind of new at end, but yeah, it went well. It was very smooth.
I'm feeling I'm pretty burned out right now. I'm very tired and my brain kind of feels like a spaghetti. Um, it was really great working with CE and Dari. They both have experience using certain tools that I've never used before. So I got to learn how to use those tools alongside them. And their guidance and kind of showing me how to use them and what to do was incredibly helpful. And it was a very efficient way to learn. So the collaboration on our team was excellent.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing. Let's jump into presentations. We're really excited to see what you all will be sharing with us. Let's start off with Ruby today.
That's us.
Yes.
Sweet. All
We
right.
thought demo was gonna start at 5, and so like we were like, okay, we're not 4 to 5, and we're gonna really hone things in. And then there's like, get on the call, and we're like, oh no.
That's why we give you a mapped out schedule so you can double check as much as you like. Alrighty. Are you guys ready or do you need a few more admin minutes? Should we have our other team go first?
No, I think we can do it. Dari, since you have the most updated slides, you can just share the slides, and then if you look on our Slack, the where we're supposed to be divvied out and what we're supposed to cover it is on the Slack. And so during those times, then we can kind of speak up and do our approach and or share screens where we need to share screens.
Wonderful. Let me know when you'd like your clock to start.
All right, give me just 1 minute to set everything up. I want to get the PowerPoint. I want to make sure that it's up, and I think we're good to go, actually. Let me just how do we okay, presentation mode. Oh, I probably should have waited so that I can share my screen so you can all join in. All right. So that's Sheen, perfect. And then here we are. Hello, everyone. My name is Dari. I am kicking our team off, our Ruby team off for this project demo. Teammates for this hackathon are Paige and C. And yeah, we decided to go with this zombie survival dashboard so that you can survive a zombie apocalypse. So you need to be prepared, especially when these situations are going. And thank God for Elon Musk and his Starlink. You will always be connected, even though there's an apocalypse. And this is where you're able to go and kind of see like what's going on here. So we built a full stack app. We have React and Vite for our front end, Node and Express for our back end, and we're using Postgres SQL for our database so that we are able to manage some of the tables that we have there. So this demo is going to focus on browsing data and how we filter survivals, which is one of the tables, inspecting the safe houses, which is another table that we have, how we add records to those and delete records cleanly.
I'll cover this slide. So the app revolves around three resources. You have the safe houses, the survivors, and the supplies. So this kind of gave us a simple data model for the project for us to be able to navigate our routes for the back end. For the demo, the main point is that a user can move from oh, I'll explain that actually towards the end when I actually do the demo. But you can see the typical user's journey is we're going to open the dashboard. You select a safe house, and then you can inspect assigned survivors and supplies within that safe house. We can also filter survivors. We can add, update, and delete our supplies records and our survivors, for instance, if they pass away or if they turn into zombies. Go ahead to the third slide. C, I believe this one's yours.
So I will start up with the our database. We actually built up our database on Silver base. I'm so bad pronouncing it. We built three tables. Safe houses, survivors, and supplies. The central table is a safe house, and both survivors and supplies are many to one. Like safe house is one, and those two are many relationship. For this, we mean one safe house can have many survivors, and one safe house can have many supplies. Um, and we also add some constraints to our tables. For example, we got age as variable in survivors, and it has to greater than 0. We also have like house setters for survivors, which has only 3 status. You cannot choose the fourth one. And also, Dari has set up you cannot duplicate supplies. And yeah, and all those validations happens not only in our API layer, also in the database.
I
Yeah.
think that's it for this slide. Yeah, we can
Uh-huh.
move on, Dari. So this one's gonna be where we kind of open up and show you. I think here we can just show them our code in the back end. If you want to do that, so everyone can kind of showcase what they did in the project. For me, if you could go to the safehouses.js in the routes, and I'll go first. So here are my two express route handlers. Hang on, that's our Swagger. So here's one. And can you showcase the second one as well? Thank you very much. Okay, so I had two gets. One is to get all the safe houses populated, or you can filter by one safe house. So what is occurring is once the query is run, the data is returned as JSON, and of course there is error handling as well. Dari, I believe your supplies, or actually no, this would be CE.
Yeah, I wrote that's a little bit down, like two it down. Yeah, I wrote two. One is to get all the survivors in one. Oh, it's not in supplies, it's in safe houses. Yeah, I wrote two. One is for all the survivors in no, it's in safe house. No, there it is. It's a safe house. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote two. One is to I wrote to get operations for safe houses. One is get all the supplies for this safe house. The other is get all the survivors for the safe house. I also wrote the survivor, like all current operations for survivors. Yeah, I created a filter function. It's like way up, like yeah, like up, way up. So basically you can filter according to like health, skill, safe house ID to select the survivor, which will be shown later in our live demo.
And I did the supplies .js and some of the routes that I did for the supplies is the get that gets all the supplies. I also joined it so that the user is able to see where the supply is located. So like which safe house and also the name of the safe house and the location as well. And I also built out the post route, which we decided later on as we were building the front end to kind of have the user be able to add some new items, so like a new supply. I also added a conditional where the user is not able, so like basically like an error handler so that the user is not able to duplicate within the same place. Because obviously if you're in house one and house one already has a flashlight and you're trying to add a flashlight, there's a conflict there. And so what I wanted to do was just to let the user know, hey, there's already a flashlight here, just in case you didn't know, and instead just use whatever item is already there. Another route that I built out was the patch route, and this is the route that we also decided to kind of have an extra element there where the user's able to use a supply. So like if you're sick or injured or infected, you're able to use maybe a first aid kit to kind of heal yourself, and you can use one of that. So it's only going to decrease in one. So it's only going to be able to use one, and you can also delete the supply as well. So maybe a zombie came in and destroyed that supply, and it no longer exists.
So from here, Dari, if can I get a time request? How much more time do we have left?
1 minute, 50 seconds.
Okay, so we had a demo, but I think it's more important to talk about documentation since that was a requirement. So if we want to switch over to documentation, we can do that now.
Yes. Let me localhost 300. Can everyone still hear me? I just want to make sure. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we decided to go with Swagger to kind of showcase our documentation. We have it sectioned off by table. So we have the supplies, the safe house supplies and survivors in all the routes. Users are able to, or even developers who are going in and cloning this project, they're able to kind of see what routes we have built out and also have examples. So for example, to get all the supplies, you can also try it out and execute. And the user is able to see what the response body is and get all the items that's actually existing right now in our database. And same thing for a post request for supplies. So if a user wants to maybe try it out and want to add a flashlight, so if they execute this, they'll see a error message here with a conflict that error flashlight already exists in Safe House 1. And so yeah, so these are all our documented routes using Swagger UI to kind of give us a better way to manage all of our APIs in terms of documentation. And I mean, we maybe have maybe 30 seconds left. I want to kind of show a little bit.
It's time, Dory.
Okay, all right.
I did place a video demo into the Tectonica Slack, so if you're interested in seeing the demo, it's there.
Awesome. I recommend if y'all would like to add that to your portfolio, make sure that it's somewhere in your project as well. Cool beans. All right, y'all have 10 minutes of prospective Q&A from the call here. I'll let the floor open up with questions and I'll save mine for last.
Then I have a question. Like even before the hackathon starts, I heard like Superbase versus Postgres. Then what's the pros of Superbase versus the Postgres?
So Supabase is actually a hosting website where you can utilize their database functioning. The database functioning that they have is Postgres SQL. So our database is just hosted, kind of like Dropbox, using a Postgres SQL database.
Thank you.
It was fairly easy to learn as well. I had never used Supabase, and so being able to go through it and learn how to use it and implement it into the project was fairly easy and straightforward.
Um, I really enjoyed your guys' PowerPoint. I also just want to know how did you guys end up with the like zombie theme? Because like Shu and I, we talked for a long time. Like, what do we do? And I think it's brilliant.
So for that was kind of me. I just kind of like was brainstorming a lot of ideas overnight, and then I had like a bunch of weird dreams because I was thinking about it all night. And then it was like, oh, we can have a cat cafe. Oh, we can have a hiking trails thing. And I had like 6 or 7 ideas, and then one of them was zombie, and everyone was like, oh, we love zombies. So zombies is what was chosen at the end.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'll also quickly add, I've been playing video games that kind of surround zombies, so that was just like a perfect theme.
that's great. And Redo and me we were discussing, should we be creative? I said no. I feel this purpose should be as basic as possible.
Okay, in defense, we had 3 members and you had two, so completely understand. It was a hefty undertaking.
Okay, I'm gonna throw one of my questions into the mix. So I noticed y'all have this really fancy filter. What was your strategy for deciding to filter across front end or back end or having some kind of split filtering? Tell me about your filtering implementation. I'm particularly interested in hearing from someone that did not implement the filtering.
That would be C. Oh, you want someone to answer it who didn't implement the filter.
Yes.
Okay.
That's gonna be Dari.
Okay, how about we hear from all three of you? How about that on the filtering?
Okay. Um, I added the filtering at the back end. So basically what I saw is I was implementing all the like code operations and that was a little boring. I just like return everything. So I want to make some drawings and I say, oh, okay, what about I join my survivor to your safe houses page? And page said, yeah, that's great. And so we did same thing to dairy supplies as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the filtering idea kind of came about while we were demoing the front end. And that's how that kind of came about. And CE kind of took ownership of the filtering of the application, which users are able to do on the front end, but it's implemented in the back end as a way for the user to be able to have more opportunity or more interaction with the program. And so users are able to filter by health, so by survivor. So if let's say they want to go to a safe house where no one is infected, they can filter out, they could filter healthy, they could find a house where there's healthy people so that they don't, get infected. Or maybe what if the user is a medic and they want to kind of help out folks that are sick or infected. They're able to filter houses that where there exists infected users, and they can, do their medic thing.
Is that actually working on the front end? Is that something you can show?
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
you
that
can
we
do it.
can show.
Demo. We won't have time to show that on this
Oh,
call. Thank you for
Okay.
answering.
right.
Paige, what are your thoughts around that question?
Sorry,
So
somebody's knocking. Hang on, I'm just gonna step. Somebody's
sure,
knocking,
no
everyone.
problem. Um, so I wasn't directly involved with the filtering on the back end, but I did do the UI for the filtering on the front end. Um, I'm trying to rack my brain on what it was about. So on the front end, I know that it fetches data from the back end, that data that's stored in a React state. The user chooses a filter. Um, and then it's rendered to the user after that. And for my filtering, I did do drop downs designs for those instead of allowing the user to type in manually.
Thank you. All right.
And sorry, and after Paige implemented her front end, I thought, yeah, that's a good way. So I also changed a little bit on my back end, add some constraints. Thank you, Paige.
Nice. Follow-up question, kind of unrelated. How did you guys handle validation, any edge cases, or just general error handling? I'd like to hear from everybody.
I'll go first with my error handling. Um, I just reused code from other projects, and because the error handling is pretty generic. And so when you do your app.get, there's a try catch. Um, but actually, I'm gonna pass it to CE because I noticed she did something a little different when she refactored, and I was really interested in what she did.
Um, oh, okay. So I believe the thing Paige was talking about is I add something like when you return the data, I made a check on if like there's actually data coming out. If not, then I would say like no survivors found or no something found. Yeah, and also I did one with like a server error. So basically, I just have two kinds of error handling. One is like, sorry, like the update is not success because probably you didn't put like right age or you didn't put first name and last name. The other is like server error. But actually, Dari put a check on like you cannot have duplicate supplies, which is amazing. I'll pass on to Dari.
Yeah, and that's actually the uh CRUD operation that I wanted to highlight the most because as I was implementing Post and I was testing it actually on Swagger, I was like, oh my God, there's no error. It doesn't like it throws an error, but it's not descriptive enough in terms of like what was happening. And so then I figured out that it was because a duplicated supply was trying to be added to this database for this specific house. So I was like, so we have to add something. So I created like a variable that that checks the database first, and if it finds it, and I believe if the row is more than zero, so if there exists one in the database that with the same name for that house, then they aren't able to have to add that to the database. And so I added that as a check because otherwise the user would have been trying to add it and not know why it couldn't be added and get frustrated and probably die out there in a zombie apocalypse. Okay, and we don't want that.
That was a great way to segue us into the next team. Thank you all for your wonderful answers.
Can you guys see?
We can see and hear, yes.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. We're Team Sapphire, and our project is called the Control Alt Innovate. And we built a small build. We built a small realistic backend API using Node Express and PostgreSQL. Our API manager uses users, orders, and items. And the way Shu and I decided to divide up our roles and contribution is Shu worked on the API structure, Git put endpoint, Swagger documentation, Git, the README, and then I worked on the data schema, post delete endpoint, Swagger documentation, put post delete, and the PowerPoint. So what our app does, our app is a backend engine for an ordering system. It lets developers create users, place order, add item, and check systems stats. It's built to be clean, organized, and easy for any front end or mobile app to connect to it. So our architecture overview overall is our backend uses a clean, productive style architecture. Router handles the HTTP request. The services runs SQL queries, and then PostgreSQL runs SQL queries. PostgreSQL runs stores and datas, and then so when the request comes in, the router checks the URL and it calls the server. The services talks to the database and returns to the clean JSON response. And then the database schema, our database has 3 tables: users, the people placing the orders, the orders they create, and then items, the product inside each order. They connect like this: the user, many orders, and many items. This structure lets us easily answer questions like what items are in this order, what users placed this order, and how many orders does a user have.
So here we want to highlight what's special for our project. The first thing is we include full CRUD operations. The second thing is we have a layered architecture that separates into router, services, and the databases. So the router handles the incoming HTTP request. Services run the business logic over the SQL queries, and the PostgreSQL store the data. And this structure will help us to keep the code clean, and it will be easier to maintain. Our database uses a relational model that has 3 tables: users, orders, and items. And the user can have many orders, and the order can include several items. So we also include retrieval-related data using SQL joins to combine information across different tables. So for error handling, we added input validation. So the API can return clear message when the request is invalid. And all the endpoints are returning the constant JSON responses, and which make it easier for the front-end application to integrate with their APIs. The next thing is like we use standard HTTP request. So we have the 200, 202, and byte input 400, not found 44, and internal servers. So this design can keep our API clean, maintainable, and developer easier. So next, Radu. We also use interactive API documentation, Swagger UI. So, and our Swagger UI can be accessed at api.doc, and the Swagger introduces try it out feature. It allows the developer to explore and test the UI, test the API endpoints, and send real requests directly to the browser without needing the extra tools. And it is more friendly, developer friendly. So the teammates or the front-end developer can easily access it without reading the backend code. So I will hand out to Radu for demo.
I'll start with get all. And it is successful. And getting a single user. And that's successful also. And our post. That's good. And then here, let's say if a user decided to put like letters or random things, it will try. It should give us an error. It will say bad request. In our post. That's also good. And last one, delete. Here, if you just put nothing, it will not work. And all good. Order deleted successfully.
So during this implementation, like we face a few challenges. One of them, like we want to keep our Swagger documentation and the JSON return response consistent across me and Raidu. And we also have to learn new technologies and tools in a short time. The other thing is like, since we are 2 people working on the backend, we have to coordinate carefully to avoid overlapping of the responsibilities. So for the future, we still have a lot to improve that we would like to make. The first thing is like we would like to add automated tests to verify the endpoints to catch any potential issues early. And the second thing, like we would like build a user-friendly front-end interfaces so users don't need to go to the API tools. And finally, not finally, the next thing is like we would like to make rate limiting to protect our AI from being abused and improve security. So the next thing is I just noticed we didn't do this, like the API versions. So we would like to add the versions for all the routers for future expansion. So I think this project demonstrate our skills that we are developing for our career. The first thing is demonstrate our understanding of the relational databases, including the designing tables, managing the relationship between the different tables. The second thing is highlight our ability for clean backend architectures. Because we separate our functionality by router services and database logic to keep it easier to maintain. And it also shows our ability to produce production-style APIs with clear documentation and using tools like Swag UI to make the API easier to understand and use and test. So
let's wrap up this slide. That's time.
thank you for listening.
Alrighty, we have our 10 for Q&A. The floor, what questions do you have?
I'll go first because I have some questions for you. First of all, excellent presentation. Thank you. It was so informative. And your Swagger UI looked really great. I liked being able to see the execute and seeing it work in real time. It's weird because I don't remember that on ours. So I have to go back and look at it. So I have kind of three questions. One is, what is business logic? It's something I've never seen or heard, and what made you decide to use that?
I feel like business logic is a very broad thing. Like anything you feel like, okay, it's really, for example, you select something or you filter something. This all belongs to business logic. So it's just like a broad thing to say. Maybe it's not the most accurate word here, but anything related to your app, uh, your what? Your application, like um, both like sometimes they have it called business constraints. So for example, one user can have many orders, how many orders, like maybe this user is restricted from buying 100 times. That also belongs to business logic.
Gotcha.
It's
Yeah,
very broad.
I was thinking it was like a program or something, and I was like, I've never heard of this. But that makes more sense. Thank you. The next thing is, did you use React? And if you did use React, did you have any components you could showcase to us?
Uh,
We didn't use
wait,
React. We
yeah,
we didn't have time to work on the front end, but we did work, like you said, like our endpoint was something that was like really important to us. So everything that I worked on, I make sure it was working, and then once I pushed it, and then Shu would also go through, and it was working on her end, and then once she was done, I would do that too. I think that took us like more than 2 hours. So that was like our main focus. We're like, we want that to work.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because I mean that was the core of the project. My follow-up then is, do you have any examples of your routes that you could show us on your actual code?
you want, I can show it then. Or do you have ready, Raidu? Okay, let me show it.
You're also welcome to throw a link into the chat. That way we can maximize our time.
So this is how we organize it. So um, the outside is like database. So we have the mm, shop dump DB here, and also the connections with the DB here. So the services is basically listed here. Actually, we wrote more than we show because we don't have enough time to finish all the Swagger things. So for example, this is a user service. So here is related to all the SQL queries related to user. So I have get user, get single user, add user, delete user, and update user. So correspondingly, in the router, I have for each one, I have like get all user, which I use the services, the function from the user services. So here is like per get single user. I use the services called get single user. Like everything is one versus one connection between router and the services.
And then
All right.
one thing, Shu, were you done? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing that helped us just making everything all cohesive and clean was like we make sure if, for example, like if she worked on item router, she also worked on the item in the servers, and then I worked on the order router, and I would work on the order server, so nothing was like mixed up.
Thank you.
Just one question from myself. Jumping into your server file, I'm noticing that it looks a little different from how you're normally building up your server. And I think that's just based on your file architecture. Tell me what might that be like for someone who's running your project and is attempting to start your server. What can they expect to know about your file architecture here?
Uh, Sorry, I don't understand the question. Would you rephrase it?
Yes, sorry. That was a very verbose question. Let's click into your server.js since we have our screen share going.
Oh, Server.js.
So typically when we're running our database and we're pulling on some of those routes and their services, we would see some sort of reference here. And so I'm wanting you to explain how the person that might be pulling everything down relative to how you have your project set up, how might they know to work with your services and your routes if they aren't referenced in your server here?
Mm.
How might they connect to your database?
Um,
It's
our our README also explains everything. That's one way, but also like if they just click the Swagger and where it's showing them all the post, delete, and all of that, like they don't even have to really like go through everything. That's one way where it makes it easier. Like we made sure everything was clear before even diving too much into our project. They can just like go to the Swagger, and that's one way that can make it.
oh yeah, and check the README. Like we have a section for how to set it up.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Good job. Good presentation, everybody. You have just under a minute left. Are there any final comments?
I'm finally breathing normally, and I appreciate that.
I've been so nervous. I literally took 2 showers today. I've just been like sweating. I don't know why. But I'm
Um,
happy it's over and it was really fun. I think working with Shu, like I learned a lot. And when we had any problems, we would always like just share screen. So I did learn a lot in 2 days.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what these events are for you guys to dust off those collaborative skills that you're not getting in the day-to-day in a different way. So that collaborative development exposure, because there's a lot of hiccups that you can learn very quickly how to navigate comparative to just kind of working heads down in your own project. So yay. Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy your next 2 days of break. Give your brain power a little, seat to sit down so that you can recover. Really good job, everyone.
Paige, I'd noticed that your mic was off at one point. Did you want to share something?
Yeah, I was gonna make a comment. For our team, I gave them some notes on the things I was talking about on how to set up a project correctly, how to set up your index.js with a general template so that you don't forget things. And so they use that to implement. And so for Shu and Redo, because in your server JS, there were actually a lot of your imports were potentially missing. There was like an app.use. So what I can do is I can send you my notes as well so that you have them too. And I have just a template that kind of shows how it should be set up, and then you kind of add things as you go. So I'm going to forward that to you to help out for future projects. So it makes it a lot easier to set up your project.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Just a friendly reminder. I know we're all excited to make these shiny for the world to see. If you add any additional features, bells, whistles, please do it on a separate branch. I still have to evaluate these. Okay, so do it on a separate branch, and then once we come together and present and talk about winners, you can merge everything in and get it all ship-shape. Thanks for the note in the chat, Michelle.
I did one bouquet per person. So you each got one.
Alrighty, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everyone.